With this, we'd now like to move on to session 2, which is strengthening SMEs for better business growth strategies and initiatives. We'd like to humbly invite Shri Samir Sathe, Executive Vice President, Advantage India Wadhwani Foundation, Shri Anurag Singh, Circle Business Head, Airtel Business, Shri Vivek Kumar Malhotra, Chief General Manager, SIDBI, Shri Siladitya Chaudhary, Head SME Division, SBI General Insurance Company Limited, and Ms. Khushnuma Khan, Advocate and Solicitor, Founder, KK Associates, to please join us. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, we'd like to humbly invite all our dignitaries to please join us on the stage. And we'd request Ms. Khushnuma Khan, Advocate and Solicitor, Founder, KK Associates, to please start with her address.
And a very warm welcome. Thank you so much, SME Chamber of India, and thank you so much, my dear brother Chandrakant Bhaiya, for inviting me at this session. I also welcome and thank you to my co-speakers who are here with me on the dais. Today I am going to speak in very brief and generic about the legal system and how it impacts the SMEs. What is the role that an SME needs to play? What is it that an SME needs to consider? And what is it that a compliance needs to be done when we talk about legal service system which is in force in our country? At this moment, I think everybody in this room is very well aware of the Msmd Act, that is the most current act which came into existence in 2006 to look into and provide certain benefits to the MSME sectors. Lately, everybody became aware of that act. So I don't want to go too much into detail of this because everybody sitting here knows about that act. What we have overlooked as an MSME is this: there are other legal systems, there are other compliances, there are other acts which also go hand in hand when we speak or when we talk about our businesses as an entrepreneur. I would like to now begin a very short introduction about the legal system in our country. The legal system in our country is based on certain constitutes, certain statutes which have been emanated and which have been implemented by the legislators, which then are brought into implemented or are enforcement or through the judiciary system. There are also customs, there are also ordinances which are time and again being introduced and which are applicable to the general individual but also to the companies, to the corporations as well. The Indian system, legal system, is largely divided into two sectors. One is civil law and one is criminal law. Now both these sectors, criminal law, these are the two main branches of our Indian legal system, civil and criminal. Both these systems are work on common law and civil law. Common law, when we say, is laws which work on precedents and customs which prevail in a country between the citizens of the country, between the people of the country. Precedents, when we say, are the judgments, are the laws which are time and again passed by various courts, especially the higher courts in our country, and which are then followed or which are then become stare decisis or obiter dicta to be followed by the lower courts. At the same time, when we say civil laws are those laws which have been implemented by the legislators, which are followed by the courts and which become implemented through various separate acts which are today in force in India. These acts are then brought into procedure which we call as codes. There are civil codes, There are civil procedure codes and there are criminal procedure codes. There is another code which have been very recently in 2016, which has come into existence, which is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. I think everybody sitting over here largely knows about, because it's a very recent act and everybody knows about the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. It is not an act, it is a complete code. Now, now we move ahead. As I see that we all are business entrepreneurs, business sectors who are sitting over here, who are involved into one way or the other in some sort of businesses or the other. I would not touch upon very specifically to any businesses, but I am going to give you a generic whole idea about how the law gets implemented into your businesses in addition to your Msmd Act. The first and foremost is this: whenever you do a business, you first conceptualize your business, your ideas. What is it that you want to do? Whether it is a service, it is a manufacture, it is a wholesale, it is a trade, what is it that you want to do? After you have largely or you have conceptualized your nature of business, the second most important point that you need to consider is what is it, the structure that's going to be. Now, this is important from your own perspective. Whatever is the nature of a business, you need to think first that whether your product, your services will be most effective in which structure, whether it is a sole proprietorship, whether it is a partnership, whether it is a limited liability partnership, whether it is a private limited company, whether it is a public limited company, and so on and so forth. These are the most basic or largely the corporate sector which functions around. So you have to identify that which is the structure which most suits your business. Now suppose you are into manufacturing sector. So in manufacturing there may be several products which get manufactured. Now you have to identify that whether this particular product which you manufacture will be best suited when you do a sole proprietorship, or when it best suited when you do a private limited company or a public limited company. Because it is always understood that any production house manufacturing of a product needs funding, and that funding can be provided very effectively and efficiently through financial institutions or through the shareholders who come into your company and bring shares. Now, there is separate concepts of private limited company and public limited company. Private limited company is a closed companies between few groups of people who come together to do a business. They cannot accept outside deposits from people who are non-members. So then what they do is they go for a financial funding through a financial institution. Vis-a-vis, in contrast, when you look upon a public limited company, then we all know that the funds are brought in from the public. We take deposits from the public through an IPO, either the preliminary platform or from a secondary markets. We issue shares, we take debentures, we issue preference shares, and so on and so forth, depending upon the nature of the businesses that we do and the product that we do. Similarly, we have limited liability partnerships and other private limited and partnerships which are not limited liability partnerships. So it is very important that before you start a business, you take a second leap to your business, you identify your structure. The next when you have identified the structures, then come your statutory compliances, and the biggest statutory compliances are your taxes, your statutory taxes. Be it your corporate tax, your income tax, your GST, and so on and so forth. Here, I would like to emphasize more on, in a balance sheet, you have two sides. You have a liability column and you have your assets column. You have your profits, you have your loss. You have a debit and a credit. So these are the entries which you have in your balance sheets, in your ledger accounts. So every ledger account has two opposite entries, one debit, one credit. So now if you, most of the time, I have seen people always grumbling that their cash flows are going down and their liabilities are going high. Now this is most crucial and very critical to understand, that why does this happen? Why is it that always that you see, or you always come across, or you encounter these sort of problems when your liabilities are increased than your cash flows or than your capital reserves? This is majorly because, and I am saying it because I have come across several problems, is this: when you overlook or when you sleep upon, when you don't consider it important paying your statutory liabilities, that's where the problem starts. Today, if you, be it your telephone bill, be it your electricity bill, be it your GST, be it whatever it is a liability, it is a liability. The moment you default on a single liability or statutory liability, the next month it jumps over, because there are penalties which get added to it, which you are not even aware of it. And the moment you just start sleeping on it, you start mounting these penalties. Your amount may be 100 rupees, but because your penalties get over and over again, it surmounts. So happening this, that when that penalty increases, automatically that affects your other part, which is your cash flows or your capital reserves. So it's very important for you as a businessman to keep a check on your liabilities, specifically your statutory liabilities. It may be payment of your labors, it may be whatever you may see. It may be your unsecured creditors, your secured creditors, your EMIs to the bank, whatever. I mean, there are a number of lists which one can think and speak about. So, but we are going into brief, so I would not be taking too much into it. So, there is one more concept which I want to discuss when we talk about corporate losses. In 2013, but there was a one-person company concept which came into existence. Though it was enforced or brought into effect only in 2015 or thereafter. One-person companies, like you always try to, over a period of time, we have seen that we work as a sole proprietor for our businesses, our purpose, because we feel that we are more comfortable in that zone, in that area, working single-handedly. And that may be the nature of many of our businesses. But on those counts, what we lose is our credibility into the market, because a sole proprietor credibility is always discounted when you look into your when you go into a credit markets. Therefore, this concept of OPC, one-person company, was brought into existence and is now being implemented, and there are several people who want to work single-handedly as the owners of their own businesses can now start their businesses by even opting out to incorporate a company through their one-person share. They are 100% shareholders. So there are many benefits of it, because your credibility increases, your market approach increases, you can have higher approach when it comes to getting financial support, financial facilities, and so on and so forth. There are many benefits. So as we have already spoken about the taxes, so now I will just very briefly touch upon the Msmd Act. So we all know that Msmd Act, what was the reasons, why it has come into existence, when it came into existence, what is the benefit, how one needs to be registered into it. That I think everybody over here knows it, because everybody is registered as an MSME, either into micro, macro, small, medium. We are all registered into MSMEs. Now, for services sector, for product, for manufacturing. Now, there was in 2020-21, there was a office memorandum which was issued by the MSME ministry. There is a wrong concept of that. I'll just say what was it about. It was like bringing into the concept of wholesalers into the arena of MSME registration, which was not previously. Now, there was a very wrong concept which went generally saying, understanding that the wholesalers are also included in the classification of MSME. But what is most important to understand is this: though they were included in those classification, but that was only for the purpose, limited purpose of getting financial assistance and nothing more. People, I mean, I have got cases where, you know, people have really argued sitting there, that saying that no, we are there, so we are into all the benefits, but that's not the case. Only benefit available to wholesalers when they are added to the classification is for the purpose of getting the financial assistance and nothing more. And that financial assistance is also available to a specific group of people, not to the entire wholesalers category as a whole. So one needs to understand very carefully that what the ministries or what the legislators try to impose, what is the wordings and how it needs to be interpreted. We all know that how one has to get themselves registered, and that registration is free of cost. So we all know that at one click what documents are required. You require your Aadhaar card. The person who is registering needs to have an Aadhaar card, a PAN card, your company's registration, your TAN, PAN, whatever documents you need, a resolution. So on and so forth, and you can, on one click, you get it registered and you have a certificate. This registration is how important, that I will show you in my next slide. So yeah, then we come to the benefits, and one of the most crucial benefit that we all see is the Samadhan delayed payment. How one has to go for Samadhan payment. Now, I know that everybody sitting over here knows that you just have to file an application with your Samadhan application and you know, it's just done. But after an application is filed, the department does a scrutiny of your application. Most of the application gets rejected due to default in documents, or there are no proper documents which have been maintained as per the requirement. So before you even do it yourself, it is important that you either check yourself your documents, or you get it checked through your legal advisors who is aware of your of the MSME Samadhan filing application. That's very important, because you know there are cases when you try to do it and again yourself, it gets rejected again, and that is rejected on an auto mode, because the system is set in such a way that if the system itself do not accept your documents, it rejects outright. So there is no other way that it can revise back. And you know, I have in one case, one of the case where I am dealing it right now, the system rejected the application on the basis of limitation. So it was delayed limitation and then it got rejected. So ultimately we have to file a writ petition in the High Court, because the system has yet not feed to itself that there was a suspension of limitation during the COVID period for the entire 1.5 years. So therefore we have to seek the permission of the court to ask the MFC council to accept that application. So you know, one has to just because you file an application and it gets rejected, you also need to check what is the reason of it. But before that, it's also important that how best you have taken care of yourself, where how much you have been going ahead, or how much you have been pursuing your return, the recovery of your payment. So we all know, I mean, the salient features, we know that within 90 days the disputes gets resolved, and within 90 days the award is passed, and that award has to be executed, and then for the recovery. So once the award comes, the next step is how you get executed that award. Just getting the award is not sufficient because it's merely a paper. So that paper comes into existence and lives a life only when it is executed. So it has to see the next life of it. So I'm just finishing. So now I will just touch upon a very important judgment which was given by the Supreme Court in Silpi Industries, and which have completely changed the scenario of the SMEs today. First of all, it said that an SME to claim any benefit under the Msmd Act has to be registered prior to entering into a contract. So if any contract you enter today and you subsequently register yourself, then you are not considered to be an MSME and you don't get benefit of that prior contract. You may get the benefit in your subsequent contracts, but not the benefit prior to that. Secondly, the court said that since this is a special act and the proceedings are done under the provisions of the Arbitration and Conciliation Act, if the conciliation and mediation fails, then the arbitration has to be taken up, and in those arbitration, not only the supplier has the right to file statement of claim, but even the buyer has the right to file a counter claim. So filing of the counter claim was made available to the buyer. Instead, what was happening, immediately once the MSME petition was filed, the buyer would go to the High Court by way of writ that there is an arbitration clause and there has to be a separate arbitration. So Supreme Court said that even if there is an arbitration clause, to bring it within this arena, the buyer would also have the right to file a counter claim. So this is another principle which was emanated by the Supreme Court in this judgment. The third and very important principle which is emanated was that the period of limitation. Most of the time what happens is, we have a problem, we try to find the solution, but we don't work on the solution. We try to go our way. The limitation is now only for 3 years. So if there is a default in your payment after the expiry of 45 days under the Act, you have to initiate your proceedings within a period of 3 years running time. If you fail to do so, then you lose the right to come even before the MSME. Now, for those who have this problem of getting registered after the contract was executed, subsequent to the contract being executed, for them there are other modes which can be taken care of, like you can go into insolvency, provided there also your limitation is very important. There is one more concept which has been introduced by the legislators in our country, is pre-mediation institution before filing a civil recovery cases. In pre-mediation institution, the parties are called before the mediator to amicably settle their disputes, whatever is there. There may be disputes, right? The buyer and the seller would be both right, may not be wrong, but then they have to come close together and sit. So the legislators thought, instead of increasing the number of cases and then pending it over a period of years, it is better that mediation, statutory mediation be introduced between the parties so that the parties can compromise and settle their disputes. Now, this being a statutory mediation under the law, which is recognized, central government has recognized this, therefore, any compromise deed which is executed under these mediations by the parties is sealed and signed by the mediator, and it is considered to be the decree of the court, which is enforceable by both the parties. So this is the brief structure on which every MSMEs should try to work on, and this is all what I have to say, because my time is limited. Thank you so much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, with this, a big thank you to Ms. Khushnuma Khan. Thank you so much for your valuable time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with this, it is time for our virtual address from Shri Sanjay Shah, Chief Operating Officer, Wadhwani Foundation, on the topic, Building a Community Platform for the SME Ecosystem to Help Enable. Could we have Shri Shah on the screen?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sanjay Shah, and I play the role of the Chief Operating Officer at the Wadhwani Foundation. I'm based out of Bangalore, and while we are in 20 different countries, my current focus is in running two of our largest initiatives, the Wadhwani Advantage program and the Wadhwani Entrepreneur program in India, Southeast Asia, and Africa. A big thank you to the SME Chambers and its members for giving us an opportunity to talk about what we do at the foundation to make a difference in the lives of the SMEs. I'm of course sorry I could not be present live at the event due to a personal commitment, but I do hope I can convey the Wadhwani Foundation message via the Zoom conference. So with that, I'm going to share my screen and my presentation over here very quickly. So at a very broad level, the mission of the foundation is to accelerate economic development in emerging economies through large-scale family-sustaining jobs. And how do we do this? We do this by creating jobs through entrepreneurship, innovation, and skill development, by changing lives through upskilling individuals to command family-sustaining wages, and by scaling impact through technology, networks, and partnerships globally. Like I said, while we run a number of different initiatives all over the world, today I will primarily talk about the Wadhwani Advantage program and how we empower thousands of small and medium-sized businesses with capabilities to maximize their growth potential. So one may ask, why Wadhwani Advantage and why us? My colleague Samir Sathe, who's going to be talking next, will talk about this in detail later on in the session today. But I will suffice it to say that we are perhaps the only pioneering program in the world that blends empowerment, consulting, and practical handholding support. We are perhaps the only program that selects SMEs with a capitalist lens and executes with social lens of creating employment. Perhaps the only program that offers talent as an extension of SME founder, CEO, managing director's office that is focused on implementation and outcome with over 100 hours of project management support given to the SMEs on a pro bono basis until outcomes are delivered. We also catalyze SME ecosystems, not just conducting consulting mandates, but by offering a state-of-the-art tech-enabled community platform, allowing you to access your customers, prospects, peers, funding entities, etc. In fact, I'm really going to be focusing on this particular topic in the next few slides. And I'm going to give you a sneak peek of our community platform that will be launched pretty soon. We also productize consulting advice for SMEs with over 60 tools, such as online diagnostic tools that SMEs can take in a matter of 30 minutes, followed by 1 to 2 hours of conversations with our WA or Wadhwani Advantage experts that are handpicked from top-notch professional services firms that validate the top 3 problem statements known to the SMEs that need to be focused on in transforming their enterprises. We also have a curated network of over 150 advisors working seamlessly with Wadhwani Advantage team to address the problem statements of SMEs, co-creating value, blending learnings and empowerment for the SMEs while implementing transformations to deliver the SME outcomes. While Samir Sarhe, my colleague who leads the Wadhwani Advantage program, will talk and get into more details of the program itself, I want to focus on the new platform that we are about to launch just for the SME community. Now, the mission of this community platform is to really provide SMEs with a scalable, easy to use platform to connect and engage with peers, advisors, consultants, and service providers through events, expert sessions, and learning and development content, facilitating customer connects, access to finance and services, peer networking, and advisory. Now, the core tenets of the community platform are to be really a bridge between all the ecosystem players supporting the SMEs, which is customers, associations, investors, advisors, suppliers, service providers, partners, consultants, etc. To also prioritize events and other one-to-many community engagement initiatives to be accessible on the go on mobile devices. And finally, the value proposition of the platform is to initially focus on the SMEs and the advisor service provider community. Here we want to enable SMEs who want to exchange best practices, share experiences, and find partnership opportunities to be able to easily network globally, not just within India, not just within Africa, but globally or locally, and find avenues of collaboration. And then the platform, of course, will provide access to global trends and key takeaways from industry events. And the platform will also enable discovery of useful content, discussion forums, and e-learning content. As far as the advisor and service providers are concerned, the platform would provide access to curated and engaged set of SMEs to the curated set of advisors and service providers who are proven subject matter experts in their domain and want to find SME clients. The platform will enable experts and advisors to build a pipeline of SME clients by providing them with tools to add content and free courses and participating in forums, organizing masterclasses and networking events. And finally, the service providers will be able to offer exclusive and attractive service offers to benefit the wider SME community. Next, events and conferences are core to the platform. We are going to have relevant and useful content, useful events and conferences sourced either from our own sources or from our global partners, providing you with opportunities to connect with prospective customers, peer groups, as well as experts and investors. And of course, in the life that is post-COVID, events can be easily created with native Zoom integration and can be imported into your personal or work calendars very, very easily. You can view and join events on the go, again on the mobile app as well. You can also find useful content in form of articles, videos, polls, surveys, discussion forums on various different topics at the global community or at your sub-community level. There are welcome checklists as you join the community platform to set up your profile, find members near you and members like you to make relevant connections. We are going to enable learning content in form of courses from top industry experts on various topics to help grow your businesses. And you can enroll and access course content again on the go on your mobile device. Next is live streaming. From time to time, we are going to host live events and conferences with our partners and top SME community members with live rewards for participation and engagement. And we are going to enable connects with peers, advisors, investors, and service providers. The platform has built-in capabilities to organize members in various expertise for ease of discovery and outreach. You can easily find and engage with capital providers, service providers, SME advisors, and your peers. And last but not the least, a chat platform. Easy to use one-to-one or group chat platform is built in into the platform itself on both the web and the mobile platform. No need to find or share your mobile details on a WhatsApp. You can just chat directly from within the community platform. And finally, the community platform is designed to be mobile first experience. You can engage with the entire community of SMEs, all the learning and development content and tools at the comfort of your mobile phone in your pocket, and keep yourself in sync with community updates through mobile notifications. So I'm very excited about this. Stay tuned for the launch of the community platform in the next few weeks. And with that, I want to hand this over to my colleague Samir Sathe, who's the EVP for the Advantage program, and he will deep dive into the Advantage program itself and our offerings. And with that, I want to thank all of you once again, to the SME chambers and all of the members of the association. I really look forward to interacting with you live sometime in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a huge, huge round of applause. Shri, Sanjay, Shah, thank you so much for that address. As he rightly said, that it is time for me to now call upon Shri Samir Sathe, Executive Vice President, Advantage India Wadhwani Foundation, who's going to be talking on the topic SME Performance from 2018 till 2022. Mr. Sathe, over to you to take forth the live baton and conduct your session. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Can it be louder? Thank you so much. Okay, you heard Sanjay, who is the Chief Operating Officer at Wadhwani Foundation. He manages a couple of programs. Advantage program is one of the most important one. I lead the Advantage program focused on small and medium enterprises, and which is why it concerns all of us today. I'm going to be speaking on 2-3 things. One is in terms of what do we do as Advantage program? What is it that is beneficial for the SME community? I'll be talking about the most important one is in terms of how the SMEs have performed pre-COVID, during COVID, and post-COVID, where we are today. And we have certain lessons to share with you in terms of what are differently than users. And with this, I'm going to sort of conclude that session. Firstly, before I begin, let me thank Chandrakantji, who is my friend, SME Chamber, who have given us the opportunity to speak here. And as always, he has been doing fantastic work to serve the SME community, SME ecosystem, and we stand as very solid partners to SME Chambers as well as Chandrakantji. Thank you, Chandrakantji. So let's begin. So you heard Sanjay in terms of what we want to do. Dr. Ramesh Wadhwani, who is the founder of Bhadwani Foundation, lives in the States, in Silicon Valley he has been there for the last 40 years. He is a serial entrepreneur, has built 42 companies in his life. 40 of them have been successful, so which is why we respect him when he says certain things. And he's 74 years old. Now, for somebody who has a wealth of $4.2 billion, it's very important whether the size of his wallet matches the size of his heart. And thankfully, it does, because he has pledged 80% of his wealth towards the whole big purpose of creating employment. I think we should give a round of applause to Dr. Ramesh Wadhwani for that. There are many, many wealthy people in the world, but it's not necessary that they will have as large the size of their heart as the size of their wallet. And thankfully, Dr. Ramesh Wadhwani has one. Now, with that mission, we want to create millions of employment globally. And one of the most important pivots of creating employment is really small and medium-sized enterprises. You heard speakers before, so I'm not going to sort of repeat that. But SMEs really control a large percentage of the employment globally. Over 50%. In many economies, it's about even 90%, right? So that's significant. And it's very clear that our corporations or organizations won't hire people unless they are doing well economically. So it's very important for us to think about how is it SMEs that can make economic progress, because then they will be in a position to hire people. And that's how we want to address the problem of employment. Our whole mission is to help the SMEs accelerate their economic growth so that they will be in a position to hire people. Now in India, we set up this Advantage program in 2019, and we set our mission to basically help you grow faster. Now, how many SME entrepreneurs there in the audience? Can you raise hands? All right. Now, you have all gone through the pains of COVID. You have all gone through setting up companies, growing it, etc., right? And you're very well aware of all the problems that you have encountered, that you're currently going through, and what you can expect in future. Our whole endeavor as Philanthropy Foundation is to help you go faster. And we have certain statistics to share which will tell you a very important lesson in terms of how India has grown. So for example, if you have been growing at 15 percentage points, our endeavor is to make you grow by 25%, to make you grow by 50%. Now, unfortunately in India, when I compare Indian situation and entrepreneurs to global counterparts, Indian entrepreneurs, unfortunately, are not that ambitious, and that's the fact. Many times it becomes a lifestyle business. In the last 30 years of my personal experience of consulting and having dealt with family businesses, typically Indians, when they look at setting up the businesses, even if the business is 30 years old, 40 years, their revenues are are hovering between 20 crores, 30 crores, 40 crores, 50 crores. And that's not enough. If you have a situation in India wherein we have 70 million businesses, but 98.5% of them are below 1 crore, below 5 crore, you have a very long tail. And that makes the problem very complex, because you're dealing with a situation wherein SMEs are struggling, are not able to grow faster, and therefore India is carrying an ecosystem of inefficient, not growing as much kind of SMEs, which India can ill afford. And that's something that we need to change. So our endeavor is to make the micro SME become small, make the small SME become mid, make the mid SME become large. And that's how, if you are able to change the pyramid of India and make it really grow faster, it's only then we can hope to realize the dream of $5 trillion. Otherwise, it will remain on paper. And that's our focus, right? So we want to make you grow faster. And we will do that by three things. We will diagnose it better. We will handhold you in the transformation journey. You heard Sanjay when he talked about the program management office support. What we want to do is to not just give talks and PowerPoint presentation and brilliant intellectual stuff, because that many consultants do. Our endeavor is to make sure that you realize those benefits. When the rubber hits the road, when we are there with you in hand-holding, that the outcomes are delivered, that is when we will think that our endeavor is done, our mission is accomplished. And that's what we want to do, to accelerate your growth. What is our benefit? It's obvious. If you are able to accelerate your growth, you will be in a position to hire people. You will know in India, if you look at the statistics in the last 9 to 10 years, we have had growth, but we have had jobless growth. In terms of the GDP, you compare the data with jobs, you will discover so many where are they? India has grown with respect to jobs, and that's never good for a country, right? Economists, so you will know this better. In terms of the growth, in terms of the employment, in terms of the inflation, all these problems need to be dealt with together, holistically. It's not enough to just grow without the jobs, because it will have implications on the economy over a period of time, and that's what we want to avoid. So very quickly, what do we do? This is a little bit dense slide, so I'll just quickly summarize. So we have two tracks. The SMEs which are below 75 crores of revenue, which is what we call the DIY track, do-it-yourself track. And there are SMEs which are 75 crores. And you will see on the slide there are three buckets that are there, right? Buckets, there is a bucket above 75 crore, there is a bucket between 25 and 75 crore, and there is a bucket between 5 to 25 crore. But the good news is that we have now also extended this to all the which are even 1 crore. Because in India, you can solve the problem by becoming elitist. You can solve the problem by making it inclusive. And we want to make it an inclusive growth, which is why we want to focus on all the businesses which are small as well as large. So what do we do? For small businesses, we have now used our capability of artificial intelligence, data analytics, and have actually productized consulting. You must have come across many advisors who are going to be there conversing with you, discussing with you. They'll spend a month or 2 or 3 months with you to find out what's the recommendation, and then there is an implementation that follows. what we are trying to do is to productize that. So we have devised a diagnostic test, which consists of about 60 to 70 questions, simple, plain questions, which are conversational in nature. It's completely online experience. The SME entrepreneurs have to go to online 48. Is this working? Yeah. Within 48 hours, we are able to generate a report, which comes like a health check. Now, earlier Chandrakantji mentioned, right? Unless you give your blood parameters, how the hell the doctor is going to diagnose what is wrong with your blood, right? So this is like a pathology test. Imagine that you are basically sharing with us. There are certain answers that you share with us based on the questions that we pose to you. And those answers reveal to us what's your organizational health. Is it really fractured at the strategy level? Is it really fractured at the ops level? Are you doing well in the org structure point of view? Are you doing well with respect to technology? And once you check, that report basically communicates to you that what is it that you need to improve on. Because at the end of the day, whatever talk we might have in terms of India potential, it boils down to the unit level economics. It boils down to how an individual unit that you own is going to perform better. We aggregate that impact, that's going to help the economy. So that diagnostic test is an example of how we are automating the consulting framework. Now, once you take that, then what we are going to do is to give you a pro bono support consultation for 15 hours. Now, in India and even globally, there is nothing 100% automated. It is a mix between what is automated and automated. So what we are going to do is that we are going to give you the benefit of our deep experience in domains, whether it is industries, automotive, materials, chemicals, logistics, etc., but also couple that functional knowledge in terms of strategy, transformation, sales, marketing, production, planning, etc. Productize that, but also give you a human support, the expert support, and Sanjay talked about 140 curated advisors, right? So what we are going to do is that we are going to give to those small business owners a 15-hour support, which is completely pro bono, that basically informs the entrepreneur how he or she needs to transform the business based on that diagnostic. And that something comes to you free. And we want to sort of dispel this, that what is free is also substandard in quality. In fact, what we do is to give you super quality at no cost. And that's the disruption that we want to cause. And therefore, I would strongly encourage the small businessmen to take care of that. For the larger businesses, we have gone one step beyond. Larger businesses have got little larger problems, more complex situations, more stakes on the table. So we are going to give 100 hours of pro bono support, PMO support on the ground over a period of 1 year so that they can take the help of that program management office support, but also bring to you the best curated advisors from the network of 140 that Sanjay spoke about. And not only that, we are also going to subsidize 50% of the advisor consulting fee, or rupees 385,000, whichever is lower, for each SME, that the expenses that they incur on engaging the advisor or the expert. And therefore, we want to solve the knowledge deficit problem. We want to solve the funding problem by making sure that you get the best of the advisor curators, and including finance. We want to also solve and encourage the to engage the experts, right? Because only when you engage an expert and you get that help, you are able to grow. But we are not stopping at that. We want to empower you. And Sanjay spoke about a couple of tools, couple of content that we want to give you. There are thousands of knowledge assets that we have developed, master classes and courses that we want to develop, because ultimately we want you to think and solve a problem in a holistic manner. We want to teach you decision-making sciences. We want to teach you how to manage a project. We want to teach you how to manage people, because those are the basics. It boils down to the basics. And unless you train yourself and unless help of an expert and both coexist, it's no way that you're going to grow 2x or 10x or 15x. And that's something which we want to believe in. So this basically describes that. And at a later point of time, some of my colleagues are here. We have Ruchi from Niti Consulting, whom we have appointed as a sort of partner. Please talk to her because she will explain to you in detail if somebody is interested. We have Neerad from our team. Neerad, can you stand there? Yeah, hi. To Neerad in case you have any queries there as well. So both Neerad and Ruchi can sort of address how the path is going to be. Now, why us? As Sanjay talked about us, I think since 2019, we launched our program We have been able to help 600 businesses. We have been able to deliver Net Promoter Score of 73. Net Promoter Score is a global standard of customer satisfaction. Our global benchmark 60, we have exceeded that, which means these 600 businesses are happy with what we have been doing. And we have been able to solve 70 different types of business problems, right? And have been able to put those businesses on a growth path of 2x to 10x. And those some other numbers that you see on the slide, basically our efforts in terms of making you empowered, ensuring that we share with you the best practices and solve your problem. Very quickly, a quick snapshot in terms of our performance, and this is very revealing. Some of this might be complex, but I'll just try to simplify. This is the indexation that is done in 2000, and we have looked at that index for manufacturing, services, and trade organizations. Facts are very interesting. If you look at manufacturing, for example, profit growth has lagged clearly. There might be a revenue growth from, if you look at compared to 2018 to 2000, but profit has not kept up, right? You also know, and some of the earlier bankers spoke about, return on capital employed is a big issue. Been able to deliver profits. On the other hand, we see from the fact base that people have capital. It's not that there is dearth of investment. They have invested, but they have not been able to generate revenue and profits out of it. And that's a summary of this chart. In general, we studied about 1,700 businesses represented in the population, and we found out that the businesses in services organizations have outperformed the manufacturing ones. The trading organizations have had a lot of beta, which means they are, but they have interestingly performed better than manufacturing. And there are some other insights which are emerging, which I'll very quickly summarize in the interest of time. If you really look at it, in terms of the pre-COVID, and I want to sort of spend 2 minutes out here, manufacturing index by revenue category. If you break this into the different revenue buckets, interestingly, the manufacturing of 5 to 75 crores, that segment has underperformed as compared to 75 to 300, which means the mid-size enterprises have lagged and the little larger enterprises have grown better, which is really a problem, right? Because larger will keep going large, they will becoming more sort of strength, but the middle portion is not performing as much as it should be, the 5 to 75 crores, right? In terms of ROC, like I said, there has been a drop across, and smaller companies actually invested faster, but they are not realizing the benefits of that faster. Larger companies have been prudent in investment, but they have also been basically a little more consistent in their performance. So that's how these numbers reveal. Just skip in the interest of time. Services, I want to focus 2 minutes because it controls GDP. I'll wrap this up in next 5 minutes. 2 to 3 minutes. In terms of basically services, I think we have really done very well compared to the other. But I think I want to focus on the fact that if you don't have a coupled growth of manufacturing and services, you're going to have a problem. Only services sector growing is not a good news for India. It needs to be coupled with manufacturing and agriculture. And what you see out here on these charts is basically an evidence that services organizations have kind of performed better, been better resilient. And I'll skip this in the interest of time. In fact, we are writing a very detailed report which is dimensionalized based on industry and size and so on and so forth. Talk to Neerad and me later to basically get a copy of this. We are going to develop this. It's going to be released in next 2 months. We are going to detail it in terms of each sector and each dimension, so you can take the help of that, right? Very quickly, the last few things and the last, which is very important message, is that there are 3 C's that the winners did very well compared to the losers. Now, what differentiated people who performed better than those who didn't? There were only 3 C's. They managed their customers extremely well. They managed cash all the time very well, very prudent. And they invested in their capabilities much before the external environment hit them. So it's not necessary to have a heart attack and visit the hospital, right? You can actually have a healthy heart, keep exercising, eat well, and not to have a heart attack. But I think the winners invested in their capability improvement and skills much ahead of time, They managed cash much better even though there was no problem, and they managed their customers extremely well. And which means underlying philosophy is that if you are able to do this through this route of making sure that you engage the advisors, you take the help of all the people who are there to help you, all this ecosystem, then you stand a better chance to do better. Thank you. Strongly encourage you to apply to this program, and thanks once again Chandrakanji and SME Chamber for giving us the opportunity. And I really encourage you to really grow faster by making commitments, just not by making announcements. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give them a huge, huge round of applause. Shri, Samir, Sathe, thank you so much. Well, with this, we'd now like to humbly invite Shri Vivek Kumar Malhotra, Chief General Manager, SIDBI, to please join us on the dais and talk on the topic, role of SIDBI for supporting SMEs for better growth.
So, good afternoon to all of you, and thank you, Mr. Salunke, for having me, here. I think I have known him for more than 20 years, but it is the first time that I am meeting him in person. I have served across all the geographies in India, but was in Bombay for a very short period, in Mumbai for a very short period. So I hope to see him, see more of him in the coming months and coming years. As all of you know, that SIDBI is the principal financing institution for micro, small and medium enterprises in the country. We go beyond what banks do, we go beyond what NBFCs do. We try to act as a bridge between banks, between state governments, between central governments and MSMEs. So that's our DNA. I just want to start my address with a small statistic. I think everyone said that MSMEs contribute 40% of the GDP. There are 6.4 crore MSMEs in India. 99.5% are below, are having a turnover of less than 1 crore. I will give you one more statistic which would give us a sense of the problem as well as the sense of the opportunity. Somebody said that there are 6.4 crores MSMEs, which is absolutely a correct statement. I will give you one more figure. The outstanding credit from the banking sector to MSMEs was approximately 21 lakh crores as on March 31, 2022. So that translates into an average credit of 3 lakh per MSME. Is this credit, or is it a dole, or is it, what? If we have to grow our country, if we have to make it various speakers, said that it has to be 5 trillion economy by 25, which is the vision of our Prime Minister. It's very clear that the credit to MSMEs has to grow. That's point number one. But before credit comes, so many things comes: infrastructure, comes support for startups, comes support for the fledgling enterprises which banks are not willing to take as risk. So today I am going to talk about, we do a number of things. It's a creature which has many arms and many legs and many thinking brains. But today I will talk to you about 5 things that we do and how those 5 things will change the MSME landscape in future, how it is changing and how it will change in future. So first thing that I am going to talk about is very, very unconventional. It's infrastructure, what we do for the infrastructure of MSMEs. I see, whenever I go to these conferences across India in my various capacities, so the persons from the IDCs are quite sought after because, they control the land, they control the facilities, and, infrastructure is the first thing that MSME needs. Now, we have since independence set up a lot of infrastructure, but what happens that it's like a road. If you don't rebuild the road, if you don't resurface the road, it becomes more of a problem than a convenience. So we've all faced this in every part of India and in every part of the world. So we work with state governments to help them upgrade MSME infrastructure, and this we do either through the IDCs or through other state government corporations which are engaged in development of infrastructure. We have reached out to each and every state government of the country, whether it is in the developed parts of the country, or it is in parts of, or it is in sort of the underdeveloped parts of the country, that if you want to upgrade your MSME infrastructure, come to SIDBI, we would give you financial assistance and then you can do it. Just to give you some figures, in the last 2 years, we have committed almost 8,000 crore to 19 state governments for the upgradation of their infrastructure. And this is not just in terms of what we can call as hard infrastructure, in terms of repairing the roads, bridges, all building common effluent treatment plants, all building water supplies. It is also in terms of social infrastructure, which is becoming very, very important for us, in terms of creating skilling centers, in terms of creating facilities for workers. Even we had a request from a state government in South that they would want to create creches for women workers. We all want an inclusive India, we all want an inclusive society. And at this level, it's very easy to create, but at the level of an MSME industry, which is itself struggling to survive, it's very difficult for them to create these facilities for their women workers. And you can't get women in workforce unless you address these. So we have worked even for that. We have helped them create creche facilities for their women workers. So that is the first point which I wanted to tell you about this. The second point which I want to talk to you is about credit guarantee. Many sort of members, many previous speakers spoke about credit guarantee for MSMEs. So both the credit guarantee operations of the entire country for MSMEs are run by SIDBI. The Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for Micro and Small Enterprises and the National Credit Guarantee Company is run by SIDBI. So all of you would have, those who are entrepreneurs here would have availed of something which is called ECLGS of Government of India, the emergency credit line which was provided to everyone during the course of credit, during the course of COVID crisis. The beauty of that scheme is that 100% is guaranteed by Government of India. So if, that's not an incentive to default, because if you default, it will spoil your credit history. But we had passed through very, very difficult times, and it was incumbent upon government to come out, to discharge the role of state as we call it, and they have done it wonderfully. And 3,36,000 crores of guarantees as on March 31, 2022 to 1 crore 18 lakh guarantees have been issued. So that's 1 crore 18 lakh MSMEs. That entire backbone, entire design, entire claim settlement has been done by an associate of SIDBI, which is called the National Credit Guarantee Companies. So now it's whenever the crisis comes, whenever the crisis like this comes, we work very, very closely with the government in terms of devising a guarantee program which balances the interest of all the three parties: government, which is underwriting, the MSME, which is availing the benefit, and banks, which are giving the finance. So it's the design and implementation is by us. Prior to this, all of you know that many of you would have been the beneficiaries of the Credit Guarantee Fund Trust scheme for micro and small enterprises. Here also, if the banks earlier, maybe a decade ago, maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago, the banks, if you go to them, for a loan, you had two options: either you had to know the branch manager, or you had to have a property. So if you had a shop, if you had a house, if you had anything, you could mortgage and take that loan, because bank would want you to put up some collateral. That is not possible for everyone. Somebody taking a loan of 10 lakh rupees, it's not possible. It's not always 100% sure that he would be able to put up collateral. So again, we and Government of India, this was by Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, we came up with a scheme where loans up to, at that time it was 25 lakh, and it has been successively enhanced. Loans could be guaranteed by the state and SIDBI, and again that scheme has done wonderfully well. We have the cumulative guarantees are again at 3,17,000 crores. So now you compare the outstanding credit is almost 21 lakhs, 21 lakh crores, and 3,17,000 crores cumulatively has been guaranteed. So just imagine the impact of what the initiative which government and SIDBI have taken together in terms of catalyzing investment for you, catalyzing employment for the country. Now, whatever we do for the micro and small enterprises, I think it's not, nothing is complete unless we talk of the bottom of the pyramid, the really poor, the microfinance clients as we call them. So apart from creating and nurturing the microfinance industry in India, what we have also done is that we have worked on entrepreneurship, and it is a very, very large flagship program called our Swavlamban program, which effectively is running in each district of India, trying to create entrepreneurs, trying to create a network of agencies which will train our youth, both men and women, to become entrepreneurs, They will provide for themselves, they will provide for their family, and if every entrepreneur is able to provide an employment of to 1.5 people on an average over the next 3 years, you can imagine it can really solve the problem of what is said as jobless growth, or what is a problem of lack of employment or lack of productive opportunities for our young people. If a country is not is not able to provide productive opportunities in terms of job or in terms of business opportunities to youth, we all know what will be the direction of the country. It will be a country which will be misguided. It will be a country which will be facing a lot of social problems. So to address that, it's a mission for us. We already have something which is called as Swavlamban Connect Center in 100 centers in 5 states. Through this we have reached, I will just read out, or I will just tell you some figures, because I thought that it would be better that I don't have a presentation and speak from notes. 46,000 aspirants have been handheld, 50,000 have been outreached, 5,000 plus have been handheld, and 2,000 enterprises have already been set up. So that's something, it is as I have said, it is going to be rolled out to every district of the country in the coming years. Now, state governments all have good intentions, want to do a lot for MSMEs, but very often it's a knowledge problem for everyone. It's a knowledge problem for us. We don't know what's happening in the world, what is the problem, what is the issue, how to address that issue. So to provide support to state governments, to provide advisory support to state governments, with every state government at least in 16 states, we have in their MSME departments placed project management units of top-notch consultants whose entire bill is foot by SIDBI. So the entire, the expenditure on providing support to the state government in making policies for MSMEs or solving the problem of MSMEs, the bill is borne by SIDBI. These are project management units. So that's another, sort of work that we do. We are going to take skilling and entrepreneurship to a completely different level. Of course, there are so many state government and private sector agencies which are working. Apart from that, Government of India has a very, very large skilling program, but our skilling program will be more directed towards creation of entrepreneurship. Soon we will come out with a standard program which can be run in any university, any college of the country for a specified period, and that would, sort of give you the necessary skills for becoming an entrepreneur. It would be the MBA of, entrepreneurship. MBAs, create good employees. We want to, through our entrepreneurship program, through our entrepreneurship curriculum, we want to create, good entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs. If you are not successful in a job, you can hop to the next job and hop to the next job and, sort of lead your life. But it's very difficult for an entrepreneur to start another venture if the previous venture has failed, because his credit history is spoiled and no one would want to touch him. So that is the third thing which I wanted to tell you. Lot of fintechs today is again we go to the same statistic, which is 6.4 crore MSMEs, so many bank branches, so many NBFC branches. It is not possible for the banks to reach these NBFCs, these MSMEs in physical format. If we have to reach these MSMEs, there has to be a digital revolution. There has to be digital or a mix of digital and physical delivery. We have a lot of fintechs. We all, sort of apps which are there and which, promise you loans. But, the government and SIDBI run the largest fintech of this country, which is the online PSB loans, where or the PSB loans under 59 minutes, where you can get your in-principle approval. You can go to the website and get in-principle approval for your loans within a period of 59 minutes. And these loans application are then farmed out to different banks, like all private sector banks, all public sector banks. It started with the success is so much that it started as a platform for the public sector banks only, and subsequently, recently, there is a clamor amongst the private sector banks to adopt this platform. So what started as a directed initiative, or what started as an initiative only directed towards the state-run banks, has become, the market has understood that it is a successful initiative. So it's now being lapped up by the private sector banks, and one of the private sector banks, largest private sector bank, has also taken an equity in the company, so they see value. So that's for the fledgling entrepreneurs. So these four things was the macro things which we are doing for MSMEs in Maharashtra and MSMEs in the country. Fifth is about individual MSMEs. Many of you know that we also do our direct lending. We have 9 branches in Maharashtra. We have a large branch in Thane, and we have set up a branch in Andheri also to cater to MSME entrepreneurs. MSME entrepreneurs. Just last 1 minute, 30 seconds. So if any of you have any loan requirement for your expansion, we are willing to provide. We have 2 major schemes which are currently running, which is one is a machine finance scheme, where you can easily get a loan up to 7 crores at a rate of up to 7.25%. So that is the competitive rate. And if you are planning to set up a greenfield enterprise, a loan up to 20 crore rupees, again at the same rate. These are the 2 flagship promotional schemes which are going on. Other than that, we have various products like working capital guarantees and the usual stuff. So if any of the MSMEs have any interest, they can go on to our website. The process is completely digitized. We don't take any paper application. So it's you have to make the application. Whatever loan you are taking, whether it is a loan for 50 crore rupees, you have to go to our website, the top right-hand side corner, apply, and then it is auto allocates the branch to you based upon your Google coordinates or your PIN code. Application goes to the RM. He will get in touch with you. Again, the documents will come to us electronically, and the icing on the cake is that when you normally you sign a credit card application in wet ink, as we call it. You sign your loan application in wet ink. You sign your loan documentations on a stamp paper, and in the front of a branch manager of a bank. For us, it is all digital. You can sign even the loan documentation from the comfort of your office. or the comfort of your home. Of course, you are welcome to visit our branches, but that's the, it's completely end-to-end paperless journey for an MSME customer. So these are the 5 things which I wanted to talk. We have many other businesses like private equity. So any other time Mr. Salunke gives me an opportunity, I would be happy to talk to the audience about that. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for Shri Vivek Kumar Malhotra ji. Thank you so much for your valuable time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with this, it is time for me to now call upon Shri Siladitya Chaudhary, Head SME Division, SBI General Insurance Company Limited, on the topic Insurance Products and Services, Advantages and Benefits for SMEs. I'm sure it's a great topic, and we'd like to humbly invite him. Thank you.
Good afternoon to all of you. I think I'm audible now. SBI General Insurance is actually a wing of State Bank of India. We cater to, we are actually here to serve the customers who are with SBI, who are also not with SBI, our potential customers, and we do due diligence and take care of their assets. As far as SMEs are concerned, so our main motive is to properly guide them, advise them, and take care of the assets, the investments that the SMEs, they do for their regular business. Now, if we talk about insurance, I think most of you have seen that there's a sentence written that insurance is a subject matter of solicitation. I think most of you are aware of it. But we call it that insurance is a matter of solution. So the way we look at it is just to provide adequate coverage so that in time of any incidents or in time of any untoward happening, the MSME unit owner should not feel like that he is alone, he is left out, and he is kind of suffering from this loss. So we are there to support him. As Mr. Parthasarathy was mentioning, that house of excellence. So we take care of that we keep the house in order. The MSME units should not suffer from any of the losses. So basically, in SMEs, if we talk about, we can just take a view of a balance sheet, and then with that items of balance sheet, I will just take you through a brief the coverages of SBI General Insurance that we offer to the SMEs. I'll just take you through with the reference to the balance sheet items. For that, I think all of us will be able to connect. So we all know that in a balance sheet we have fixed assets, and those fixed assets are covered under a policy which is known as fire policy, and which is, it's a very popular policy for all of, we all know about it. If there is an incidence of fire and even flood, because normally the connotation is fire insurance, but it also covers flood. So flood, inundation and everything is covered under fire insurance. So to protect the assets, the fixed assets and the stock as well. So there is a policy called fire insurance, and at the time of taking this policy, a person has to take care of the value that he is insuring. Many times we have seen that during the fire policy agreement, or when the fire policy is taken by an SME unit, so they take it up to the amount of the loan, which is very dangerous, because he may have taken a loan of say 5 crores, but the asset worth is say for example 25 crores. So just to satisfy the banker, just to satisfy the auditor, he takes insurance for up to that loan limit. At the time of any incidents, there is a clause which is known as under insurance, an average clause, so he will suffer. So that's why we always advise the customer to insure adequately your assets, so that at the time of any incidents, you are rest assured that your unit is taken care of. So with that fire insurance, the vehicles, we all know that it is mandatory by the Motor Vehicle Act that vehicles are to be insured under motor insurance. Now, as you know that this terminology is marine insurance, but we also call it as transit insurance, which takes care of the shipment of any goods from one place to another place. It can be inland, it can be export. So this is a policy which takes care of the shipment or transit of goods that the manufacturing unit or the trading units are carrying on. So this is also very important thing. This we will explain it in a little bit detail, which is known as trade credit insurance. You can call it debtors insurance. You can call it receivable insurance. So I have my colleague from SBI General, so she will take you through this trade credit insurance in detail after we just go through the briefing of other products. As Mr. Parthasarathy was mentioning that House of Excellence, so again I will take you back to that particular discussion. So all of us, we know that SME units, there are employees who work in those units and they are very important for us. Because आज के दिन में, in today's world, this kind of skilled and unskilled laborers, if we lose them, so it is very difficult to get a replacement. So to hold them back, employers, they offer the benefits to the employees by means of covering them under health policy. And in 2020, when the first lockdown and the first wave was there, so Ministry of Home Affairs, they issued a circular, SOP rather, where it was mentioned that the workers who are working in the units should be covered under health insurance. Because all of us, we have seen, we have experienced, our near and dear ones, our acquaintances, they have suffered heavily during this first, second waves. And that was a learning, because earlier health insurance used to be a kind of a cover where, it was taken for a tax benefit. For January, February and March, these 3 months, people used to say that we need to take an health insurance to save our tax. But now it has become a necessity. People have seen it, people have seen the importance of health insurance. And for that, SBI General has come out with a product which is specifically designed for the MSMEs. Because the group health insurance policy earlier, pre-COVID days, were designed only for large corporates where you have a huge number of employees, say more than 500,000, even 250, 300. But we know that the MSME units, there are even employee strength of say 10, 15, 12, but they were not covered under group health insurance. The definition used to be like, to qualify for a group health insurance, the group has to be as big as 250, 300, 500, whatsoever. But now we have designed a product with the same kind of benefit that we were offering to large groups, the same kind of benefit we are offering to smaller groups, even for a group of 10, 12, 15. Same kind of benefit. And at a flat rate of premium. There is nothing like, the premium will vary because of age and all these things. Because when we talk about group health insurance, we take care of the group and not the individuals. And in certain cases, there is no requirement of even going for a medical test, because in the market that for the health policies you have to go for a medical test if you are aged above 45 or 50 or something like that. So we have waived it also for the MSMEs only, because this particular segment was not taken care of under this group health policy. People used to take individual health policy, and there was a waiting period of 4 years to get the claim for any pre-existing disease. So all these things we have taken care of. From day one, the pre-existing diseases will be covered and a flat premium is there, and there is no medical checkup required to take this policy for the group. And the employer who's paying the premium for this policy will also get a tax benefit. So it is actually a win-win situation for the MSMEs. And so after this COVID first wave, we have designed this product and it is there in the market. You can contact our colleagues who are there from SBI General. Anuj, can you just please stand up? So he's Anuj Mehta, he's there, and Hema, she's also there. So they are here available, so you can contact them for further briefing on this product. So when an MSME unit is engaged in some construction work or even erection of a plant and machinery in their factory, so it also needs a coverage of erection all risk policy, where not only the erection of the machine, the commissioning of the machine is covered, also the testing period is also covered. Say for example, a machine is commissioned in a factory and then after that there is a testing period of 1 month, sometimes 2 months. So during the testing some incident happens. So this can be covered under a policy called direction all risk, and this is only till the period of that particular commissioning is happening. It has to be, I mean, it is not that it has to be an annual policy, because in general insurance and even in life insurance also, you have seen that there are policies which are annually, like, for 1 year. But this kind of policies are there for the particular project period. Even, say for example, a machinery is getting commissioned in a unit and it takes only 3 months time to get commissioned, the policy will be only valid for 3 months. Not necessarily to take this policy for a year. So that is a customized policy for the commissioning of plant and machinery. So now this is overall that what we have spoken about, the policies which are available in the market, especially the fire insurance, the burglary insurance, the marine insurance and vehicle insurance, as well as this group health insurance. So the most important topic that is there is about credit insurance, and I would like to invite all your attentions, because once you go through this product, I'm sure you will find it very, very, very important for all of you, those who are running units, because in today's world, it is not that we sell everything on cash and carry. We have receivables, we have debtors, so, and there is a chance of, default of payment or delay in payment from the debtors or the receivables getting delayed, which affects your working capital cycle. So there is a policy which takes care of that particular default or delay. So I would like to invite Ms. Hema Khatri. She is an expert in credit insurance from SBI General to take you through this product. Hema.
Thank you so much, sir. Hello, everyone. So like we've seen that all the presenters have been presenting something about something which is the support to SMEs to grow and fulfill their journey. So this product is also specially designed so as to support SMEs to not fail due to any receivable loss. So why credit insurance? Right now, if we see that there are a lot of sales which are happening on credit only, also almost 70-80% of it happens on credit. And out of the credit which has been given to the customers, somewhere around 70% doesn't come back at the right time, which was the due date. So whenever that's deferred or delayed or defaulted, so this policy comes into picture. So this policy covers any kind of insolvency, protracted default, or LC opening bank has a default. So, and also country risk or political risk. So under this policy, if let's say your buyer has gone insolvent or they're not paying they're not making the payment of the receivable within the due date, then also the claim can trigger under this policy. So these are the benefits of this policy. One, it has risk protection again. In case you've lent to a buyer who's not paying back in the right time. So this is the first benefit of it, which is it is going to protect you from that kind of risk. General loss prevention, because through this policy, SBI General would be acting as a partner to you. So in case if you're deciding about lending to a particular buyer for what duration you should lend to, for what amount you should lend to, for that kind of advice, you can also come to the insurer. And we can do the analysis for you for your buyer or the country you want to get into and give you that detailed report based on which you can take that decision. And sales expansion, again, if you're planning to expand in some other country which you've not ventured into yet or a city, so that can also be supported through our policy, because our R&D experts would always be sitting next to you to support you in that. These are a few exclusions under this policy which are not covered. Basically, the major exclusion under this policy is default. Any kind of, any kind of dispute, sorry. So any kind of dispute under the transaction would not be covered under this policy. Now, what are our unique propositions through SBI General? First, we have our own commercial risk underwriting team who would be assessing each and every transaction you would like to do with your buyers, wherein we would be acting as an insurer. So we would assist you for all the R&D which you might be doing with other companies or your own teams. We have a smart portal on which you can lodge, you can enter into any transaction. If you're adding a new customer, through that portal you can intimate us that you're going to add this customer as well and we are supposed to insure them. Any kind of claim can be intimated through that portal, which is available to you 24/7. And our collection and claims, so SBI General has a forte in claim settlement and receivable policy because we do it through the support of our bank, which is SBI. So through the network of SBI, we're able to get the receivables back as early as possible in comparison with the other insurers. These are the sectors which we're currently serving. Major pharmaceutical units, FMCG units are already insuring with us and happy with it. So I'll just explain how this policy works. So in case, if you've lent to a customer for, let's say, 30, your first due date is 60 days ka apne notice period diya hai. 60 days ka period hai for the payment of the due. And if the customer doesn't end up paying, so let's say it starts from 1st March and till 30th April, you've not received the amount which was committed by your customer. You can extend it for 60 more days as per your convenience. If you don't want to, you can initiate a claim, intimate it to us. We'll take over from there. And within next 150 days, which is the maximum tenure, we shall be recovering that claim on your behalf and making the payment to you. So 85% of your invoice value is insured under this policy. In case if we end up doing the whole recovery, we pay the 100% of it. Apart from the product which I just explained, we also have a few value-added services which are listed here. So we do a lot of surveys, we do a lot of electrical audits, loss minimization audits. So in case in your manufacturing unit you would like to do any kind of audit or development study, HAZOP study, so all these things are offered by us to SBI customers and SBI General customers as well. Just one point which I wanted to touch upon. There are a few common mistakes which we do while opting for an insurance, while taking a policy, due to which we end up not getting the claim or getting a less amount of the claim. So one major is under insurance. If the asset value, let's say if your asset value is 1 crore and you've taken a loan of 50 lakhs over it or 70 lakhs over it, so 70 lakh would not be the optimum amount to insure your asset. For sure, it will be 1 crore only. So do not go by the loan amount, go by the value of the balance sheet value of your asset. Incorrect occupancy should not be the major, that's a very important point in the policy, so that should always be checked. Aapki occupancy jo aap actually bana rahe in your manufacturing unit should be mentioned on the policy, and the address is again very important point. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a huge round of applause. What an excellent presentation that was. And thank you to our dignitaries as well for joining us. Well, after that, it is time for us to now call upon Shri Anurag Singh, Circle Business Head, Airtel Business, on the topic Powering Growth with Technology. Let's give our gentleman a huge round of applause as we welcome him towards the dais. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, we can be much more lenient. Let's get more energy in the room. Perfect. Over to you.
Okay, warm welcome again to each one of you. So, what we essentially saw in this AV are the industry solutions that Airtel Business offers to different verticals in the B2B space. My name is Anurag Singh. I am the Circle Business Head for Airtel Business in Mumbai, for Mumbai business basically. And we typically handle the B2B customers. So here I am going to talk to you about what are the solutions that are very, very relevant for each of your organizations. In the preceding sessions, we heard about how having capital is important for the business. We heard from Ms. Khan about laws and regulations. We heard about insurance. All these things are important. But for our business, technology and solution is very, very important as we scale up further. So how can Airtel Business contribute to your success is something that I'm going to briefly cover. And I assure you to keep it very crisp and engaging. And I would really or rather urge each one of you to pay attention, give your attention over here. So Airtel Business is the part of the entire Airtel Group. Within the entire Airtel Group, B2B organization or Airtel Business has around 20% of the revenues. We are around 20,000 crore company. We deal with most of the leading corporates that you can think of, whether it's a very large organization or it's a small organization, irrespective of that, because connectivity is something that every organization needs. We are proud to be a connectivity partner with SME Chamber. And as you can see, most of the manufacturing and distribution companies, BFSI, PSUs, media companies, IT, ITES companies, they are all our customers. So we are segmented into three different business units, I would say, starting from OTT and global accounts or carriers to enterprise business to MSME space or emerging business. So there are some logos that we've put in over here. All these companies are Airtel's business customers for connectivity solutions. As I mentioned, I'm looking after the SME business, which is part of the emerging business segment. And to our mind, this is the segment which is the fastest growing. As we heard in the opening, in the earlier presentations, that MSMEs contribute to around 28% of the country's GDP. And in terms of the exports, it contributes to around 50%. And while we are currently slated to grow our GDP by around 8% as per analysts, I'm sure that each one of you has very bigger plans, has much bigger plans for the growth of your organizations. In fact, just on a lighter note, my AOP for my segment itself is 40%. So I'm very confident that each one of you is wanting to grow much faster. As I think one of our esteemed colleagues mentioned, I think Mr. Sathe mentioned that he wants to help the micro customers to go to medium and then beyond. So that is something which each one of us needs to aspire. How can Airtel partner with you in this journey is something I would like to touch upon. And irrespective of the size of the account, we may have an account which is say 1,000 crore account, or we may have an account which may give us a business of only 10 lakhs. We have a uniform standard GTM for each of our customers, wherein we put in dedicated account managers who is working with sales TL and then rolling up to business head. So we have a very uniform structure. In earlier scenario and in many other organizations have a different GTM model, but we believe that this particular GTM is most relevant for scaling up business, because in our business, it's not only about sale, it's about service. And by having a proper account management approach, the philosophy that with which we work is serve to sell. If you serve your customers well, the business automatically grows. So with that thought process, we have a team. My team is over here, and we have a booth over there at the right corner. Later on, when there is time, at the time of networking, during lunch, we would be very happy to connect with each one of you and talk to you more about our solutions. So as I mentioned, we are aspiring to be the one-stop shop for all your telecom and connectivity and technology needs. Here, I'll just briefly cover about the solutions that we have. Connectivity, as the name suggests, it's talk about the connectivity between the locations, between the branches. It can be either a mobile connectivity, it can be internet connectivity. Airtel being a telecom service provider itself, we are a tier 1 service provider with 3.5 lakh kilometers of fiber around the entire country. We have partnerships with a lot of other carriers for connecting many international locations. We have consortium partnerships in the submarine cable systems. So we have invested in thousands and thousands of crores of capex over the last so many years to basically connect the entire world. From a scale standpoint, we have 490 million subscribers, mobile subscribers. In the overall world, we operate at 18 countries. We are the second largest mobile service company across the globe, and it's a matter of pride for all of us that an Indian company is ranked 2 as far as mobile subscriber, or rather the mobile companies amongst the world is concerned. So connectivity, as I mentioned, every organization cannot, I would rather say no organization can actually operate without connectivity, whether it is internet or any other private cloud. So that is the first core solution that we have. On IoT space, IoT is Internet of Things. I'm sure everybody would know about it. This was predicted by Gartner many years back that IoT will be the next big thing. And with COVID coming in the last 2 odd years, we have seen a tremendous scale up in the overall IoT business. Companies have been forced to adopt to digital needs. And I'm proud to say that we are a leading IoT player with 48% market share. As we speak, we have 11 million devices which are connected by Airtel SIMs. So earlier we used to connect people through mobile phones, but now we connect devices as well. And the devices can be, like the use cases can be aplenty. There can be a sound box which we see at a Kirana store or at a retail shop which is powered by an Airtel SIM. There can be a POS machine where we swipe our credit card or debit cards, that is powered by Airtel SIM. And then there can be multiple other use cases like say energy monitoring or vehicle tracking. All these kind of solutions are part of IoT. And depending on your specific business, we can the approach that we have is we understand your business problem and we accordingly work out a customized solution. During the coffee break, I was interacting with one gentleman from a company called Nandan GSE, Ground Service Equipment. I think Dr. Sangram Patil, I was engaging with him. If he's here, if he can just raise his hand. Yeah, okay, good to see you. So we were just talking about, so this is a company with, the reason I'm bringing this example so that we can all relate, that every organization, every customer has this requirement around IoT. So this is a company which is into ground service equipment at airports. I mean the machines that we see for loading and carrying the luggage, all those machines are made by this company, 30-year-old organization. And he was talking to me about IoT, that how can we have a solution wherein I can track these devices. And I briefly explained to him that yes, we do have such solutions. So these kind of solutions we can customize basis the requirement of yours or the business problem that you may have. So that is IoT. CPaaS, again, it's the latest product that we have, communication platform as a service. Many of you may be in a business of dealing with retail customers or end consumers. So it is important to manage the entire life cycle of your consumers. Whether it is say insurance, wherein you deal with consumers, you need to send messages to your customers. And these are not messages sent through mobiles. These are messages sent through an application to peer. A2P messaging is what we say. You may have outbound dialing that may be required. So it is voice, SMS, and even WhatsApp. All of this is integrated under one platform, which is communication platform as a service. So Airtel has this as a solution. DC and cloud is data center and cloud. You would know, or maybe your IT guys, or if there are CIOs in this room, they would know that every organization has a setup. Either it will be captive in your own office, or it may be at a third-party location. So Airtel has 12 tier 3 plus data centers across the country, north, south, east, west. And we have 120 edge data centers across. So this makes us the largest data center company. Many people don't know about it. People still largely associate Airtel with only mobility. But that is the purpose of me coming here and talking to you about the solutions that are relevant for your business over and above mobility. Cyber security. You can imagine we are having data, or rather we are having 490 million subscribers, mobile subscribers. So the kind of data we have to manage, the security that we have to ensure for our own customers. This is something which we do, and a couple of years back we launched Security Operations Center as a service, SOC as a service, wherein we extend the data security or cyber security to our customers as well. So whether it's a endpoint security, whether it's mail security, whether it is web security, or it's SOC as a service that you would need, we can take care of all of this as a managed services for you. NIPS is Network Integration and Professional Services. We know that there are equipments which power our businesses, or which basically helps us establish connectivity. We are partners with all the leading OEMs, whether it is Cisco, HP, Juniper, any companies that you can name, we are partners with all these companies, and whenever you need any kind of a deployment to be done at your data center or at your office location, we can even provide these solutions to you on a managed services basis or on CapEx, depending on the requirement. Collaboration, we spoke, I think many of us have seen the benefits of collaboration during the last couple of years. So unified conferencing, Zoom, all these things have become very, I mean, this has become like second skin. It's become very natural for us to collaborate that way. We provide these services as well. We can also put in room-based video conferencing. We can put in telepresence kind of a setup if somebody needs a huge setup. And mobility, most important, Airtel is associated with mobility. So this mobility that we are handling, or I'm talking about over here, is corporate mobility, wherein the companies take the connections for their employees. We have one of the largest private sector bank which has around 50,000 mobile connections from Airtel. So they take it from the company so that it's an assured service. It's not like a retail service. You get a relationship manager. You get assurance that any location, whether it's a branch or any VIP's residence, we will deploy network. So these are the broader 8 pillars that I just wanted to cover about. So how have we been, so we've been enabling the businesses in their digitization journey. I'm just sharing some examples. So this is one of the, I mean, we all use food delivery app for ordering, right, especially over the weekend. So one of these companies, the largest in the country, are using Airtel CPaaS solution, Airtel IQ solution. Their concern was around typically, as we know, when we raise a request, we receive a call from, we can either call the delivery agent or the delivery agent can call us, but we don't get his number. There is a number masking that happens. So this is because 2 calls get initiated and then they get merged. So this particular company used to face the charges for 2 calls. Because there are companies who take the telecom resources like PRI services and they build a solution and they sell it further to clients. Whereas we as a telco, as a principal company, we were just providing the telecom resources but not the entire solution. That's why we launched this particular CPaaS solution. And this company has moved on to us, and we've solved their business problem by providing them with this solution and also bringing down their cost. So this is one example. Similarly, on car security, now many of these cars, I mean, we've seen that they have connectivity within, right, so that the vehicle tracking becomes easier. The first such car which was launched in India was powered by solutions that Airtel Business offers to different verticals in the B2B space. My name is Anurag Singh. I am the Circle Business Head for Airtel Business in Mumbai, for Mumbai business basically, and we typically handle the B2B customers. So here I'm going to talk to you about what are the solutions that are very, very relevant for each of your organizations. In the preceding sessions, we heard about how having capital is important for the business. We heard from Ms. Khan about laws and regulations. We heard about insurance. All these things are important. But for our business, technology and solution is very, very important as we scale up further. So how can Airtel Business contribute to your success is something that I'm going to briefly cover. And I assure you to keep it very crisp and engaging. And I would really like, or rather urge each one of you to pay attention, give your attention over here. So Airtel Business is the part of the entire Airtel Group. Within the entire Airtel Group, B2B organization or Airtel Business has around 20% of the revenues. We are around 20,000 crore company. We deal with most of the leading corporates that you can think of, whether it's a very large organization or it's a small organization, irrespective of that, because connectivity is something that every organization needs. We are proud to be a connectivity partner with SME Chamber. And as you can see, most of the manufacturing and distribution companies, BFSI, PSUs, media companies, IT, ITES companies, they are all our customers. So we are segmented into 3 different business units, I would say, starting from OTT and global accounts or carriers to enterprise business to MSME space or emerging business. So there are some logos that we've put in over here. All these companies are Airtel's business customers for connectivity solutions. As I mentioned, I'm looking after the SME business, which is part of the emerging business segment. And to our mind, this is the segment which is the fastest growing. As we heard in the opening, in the earlier presentations, that MSMEs contribute to around 28% of the country's GDP. And in terms of the exports, it contributes to around 50%. And while we are currently slated to grow our GDP by around 8% as per analysts, I'm sure that each one of you has very bigger plans, has much bigger plans for the growth of your organizations. In fact, just on a lighter note, my AOP for my segment itself is 40%. So I'm very confident that each one of you is wanting to grow much faster. As I think one of our esteemed colleagues mentioned, I think Mr. Sathe mentioned that he wants to help the micro customers to go to medium and then beyond. So that is something which each one of us needs to aspire. How can Airtel partner with you in this journey is something I would like to touch upon. And irrespective of the size of the account, we may have an account which is say 1,000 crore account, or we may have an account which may give us a business of only 10 lakhs. We have a uniform standard GTM for each of our customers, wherein we put in dedicated account managers who is working with sales TL and then rolling up to business head. So we have a very uniform structure. In earlier scenario and in many other organizations have a different GTM model, but we believe that this particular GTM is most relevant for scaling a business, because in our business it's not only about sale, it's about service. And by having a proper account management approach, the philosophy that with which we work is serve to sell. If you serve your customers well, the business automatically grows. So with that thought process, we have a team. My team is over here, and we have a booth over there at the right corner. Later on, when there is time, at the time of networking, during lunch, we would be very happy to connect with each one of you and talk to you more about our solutions. So as I mentioned, we are aspiring to be the one-stop shop for all your telecom and connectivity and technology needs. Here, I'll just briefly cover about the solutions that we have. Connectivity, as the name suggests, it's talk about the connectivity between the locations, between the branches. It can be either a mobile connectivity, it can be internet connectivity. Airtel being a telecom service provider itself, we are a tier 1 service provider with 3.5 lakh kilometers of fiber around the entire country. We have partnerships with a lot of other carriers for connecting many international locations. We have consortium partnerships in the submarine cable systems. So we have invested in thousands and thousands of crores of capex over the last so many years to basically connect the entire world. From a scale standpoint, we have 490 million subscribers, mobile subscribers. In the overall world, we operate at 18 countries. We are the second largest mobile service company across the globe, and it's a matter of pride for all of us that an Indian company is ranked 2 as far as mobile subscriber, or rather the mobile companies amongst the world is concerned. So connectivity, as I mentioned, every organization cannot, I would rather say no organization can actually operate without connectivity, whether it is internet or any other private cloud. So that is the first core solution that we have. On IoT space, IoT is Internet of Things. I'm sure everybody would know about it. This was predicted by Gartner many years back that IoT will be the next big thing. And with COVID coming in the last 2 odd years, we have seen a tremendous scale up in the overall IoT business. Companies have been forced to adopt to digital needs. And I'm proud to say that we are a leading IoT player with 48% market share. As we speak, we have 11 million devices which are connected by Airtel SIMs. So earlier we used to connect people through mobile phones, but now we connect devices as well. And the devices can be, like the use cases can be aplenty. There can be a sound box which we see at a Kirana store or at a retail stop, which is powered by an Airtel SIM. There can be a POS machine where we swipe our credit card or debit cards, that is powered by Airtel SIM. And then there can be multiple other use cases like say energy monitoring or vehicle tracking. All these kind of solutions are part of IoT. And depending on your specific business, we can the approach that we have is we understand your business problem and we accordingly work out a customized solution. During the coffee break, I was interacting with one gentleman from a company called Nandan GSE, Ground Service Equipment. I think Dr. Sangram Patil, I was engaging with him. If he's here, if he can just raise his hand. Yeah, okay, good to see you. So we were just talking about, so this is a company with, the reason I'm bringing this example so that we can all relate, that every organization, every customer has this requirement around IoT. So this is a company which is into ground service equipment for at airports. I mean, the machines that we see for loading and carrying the luggage, all those machines are made by this company, 30-year-old organization. And he was talking to me about IoT, that how can we have a solution wherein I can track these devices. And I briefly explained to him that yes, we do have such solutions. So these kind of solutions we can customize basis the requirement of yours or the business problem that you may have. So that is IoT. CPaaS, again, it's the latest product that we have, communication platform as a service. Many of you may be in a business of dealing with retail customers or end consumers. So it is important to manage the entire life cycle of your consumers. Whether it is, say, insurance, wherein you deal with consumers, you need to send messages to your customers. And these are not messages sent through mobiles. These are messages sent through an application to peer. A2P messaging is what we say. You may have outbound dialing that may be required. So it is voice, SMS, and even WhatsApp. All of this is integrated under one platform, which is communication platform as a service. So Airtel has this as a solution. DC and cloud is data center and cloud. You would know, or maybe your IT guys, or if there are CIOs in this room, they would know that every organization has a setup. Either it will be captive in your own office, or it may be at a third-party location. So Airtel has 12 tier 3 plus data centers across the country, north, south, east, west. And we have 120 edge data centers across. So this makes us the largest data center company. Many people don't know about it. People still largely associate Airtel with only mobility. But that is the purpose of me coming here and talking to you about the solutions that are relevant for your business over and above mobility. Cyber security. You can imagine we are having data, or rather we are having 490 million subscribers, mobile subscribers. So the kind of data we have to manage, the security that we have to ensure for our own customers. This is something which we do, and a couple of years back we launched Security Operations Center as a service, SOC as a service, wherein we extend the data security or cyber security to our customers as well. So whether it's a endpoint security, whether it's mail security, whether it is web security, or it's SOC as a service that you would need, we can take care of all of this as a managed services for you. NIPS is Network Integration and Professional Services. We know that there are equipments which power our businesses, or which basically helps us establish connectivity. We are partners with all the leading OEMs, whether it is Cisco, HP, Juniper, any companies that you can name. We are partners with all these companies, and whenever you need any kind of a deployment to be done at your data center or at your office location, we can even provide these solutions to you on a managed services basis or on CapEx, depending on the requirement. Collaboration, we spoke, I think many of us have seen the benefits of collaboration during the last couple of years. So unified conferencing, Zoom, all these things have become, this has become like second skin. It's become very natural for us to collaborate that way. We provide these services as well. We can also put in room-based video conferencing. We can put in telepresence kind of a setup if somebody needs a huge setup. And mobility, most important, Airtel is associated with mobility. So this mobility that we are handling, or I'm talking about over here, is corporate mobility, wherein the companies take the connections for their employees. We have one of the largest private sector bank which has around 50,000 mobile connections from Airtel. So they take it from the company so that it's an assured service. It's not like a retail service. You get a relationship manager. You get assurance that any location, whether it's a branch or any VIP's residence, we will deploy network. So these are the broader 8 pillars that I just wanted to cover about. So how have we been, we've been enabling the businesses in their digitization journey. I'm just sharing some examples. So this is one of the, we all use food delivery app for ordering, right, especially over the weekend. So one of these companies, the largest in the country, are using Airtel CPaaS solution, Airtel IQ solution. Their concern was around typically, as we know, when we raise a request, we receive a call from, we can either call the delivery agent or the delivery agent can call us, but we don't get his number. There is a number masking that happens. So this is because 2 calls get initiated and then they get merged. So this particular company used to face the charges for 2 calls. Because there are companies who take the telecom resources like PRI services and they build a solution and they sell it further to clients. Whereas we as a telco, as a principal company, We were just providing the telecom resources but not the entire solution. That's why we launched this particular CPaaS solution. And this company has moved on to us, and we've solved their business problem by providing them with this solution and also bringing down their cost. So this is one example. Similarly, on car security, now many of these cars, I mean, we've seen that they have connectivity within, right? So that the vehicle tracking becomes easier. The first such car which was launched in India was powered by an Airtel IoT SIM. In fact, in the booth you will see, if you visit over there, you will see the customer speak about this. So we have testimonials as well over here. One of the leading QSR players, quick service restaurant players, are on Airtel managed Wi-Fi across their 140 stores. They have separate Wi-Fi network for their own employees and for guests. So the authentication and the manageability of the entire solution is done by us. Similarly, one of the leading financial services, they have trusted Airtel for security solution on the internet. So DDoS mitigation is something which we provide as a service so that there is clean traffic that comes onto the internet. Just to explain to some of you who may not know about DDoS, DDoS is distributed denial of service. For example, if I am a content provider and I am having a scheme or I am having some kind of a sale for say next 3 days, and people are expected to be, I am expecting a lot of hits on my web server or on my application. And if there is some malicious traffic that is sent to the destination IP, the genuine users will not be able to access your content. So that is called denial of service. So this kind of mitigation is managed by Airtel SOC at the back end. We've got the largest SOC in terms of the video wall that we have at Manesar. This is the largest in Asia, wherein our people sit and they monitor our network day in and day out. And SD-WAN, many of you would know about SD-WAN, software-defined WAN. This is something which is catching up very much. One of the leading financial institutions have taken 3,500 branches connectivity from Airtel on SD-WAN. And again, like I said, we not just provide or deploy, we manage the entire setup for the companies. Lastly, on mobile COCP, as I mentioned, you cannot disassociate Airtel with mobile. So we provide corporate mobile connections. This particular example is for one of the state governments in upper north. Basically, I mean, I can just mention it's Haryana state government. When we have provided 3 lakh SIMs to the students, they had a program wherein they wanted to give tablets to the students, and it had to be powered by Airtel SIM. So we had closed that deal and we deployed this entire solution within 2 months. That is the scale at which we operate. So that's about it. A little bit about our infrastructure. As I mentioned, we have 12 data centers and 120. I don't know if the font is clear, but I'll just speak about it. We have this setup entirely, and as we all know, the data center and cloud business is booming like anything. In the next 3 years, we have plans to double up our capacity. At the same time, the energy that we will be using will be green power. We are using solar energy in line with the ESG governance. And yeah, that is what, and most of the public cloud players, as we know, I mean, I saw that even AWS is a partner here. AWS, whether you look at Oracle, whether you look at Microsoft Azure, they are hosted with Airtel in their data centers. IoT, I mentioned, we have close to 50% share. We have 4,500 corporate customers, and we are very keen to onboard more. And we have 11 million plus devices running powered with Airtel as of now. I spoke about CPaaS, Cloud Communication Platform as a Service. There are so many transactions that happens. These are messages that go. Each one of us receive messages when we get our salary credited, when we do a withdrawal from ATM. These messages are basically sent through a telco network. And this is what we are talking about over here. And on cloud, like I mentioned, many of you would have been hosting your applications on public cloud. So we are partners with most of the leading public cloud providers. I named them. We have edge cloud across 120 data centers that I spoke. This is very, very relevant for media players because like a company like Hotstar, and when we watch IPL on mobile, it is important that the content loads much faster. So what these companies do is that they will try and do a CDN, or they will try and bring the content very close to the user so that there's no latency. So we provide these CDN services through our edge cloud data centers, and we have private cloud of our own, which is under the brand of Nextra, which is a subsidiary of Airtel. So largely that's about it. This is the last slide. So to back all of this, we have a state-of-the-art network operations center, and we also have a security operations center, as I said, wherein we manage our customers and we extend this service to our customers so that you can be rest assured and focus on growing your business. And the technology and the IT part and the network connectivity part, the difficult technical part can be outsourced to Airtel. With that thought process, we work with each and every customers, whether it is, like I said, global, enterprise or emerging. And we see a lot of potential in emerging segment. That's why we are investing very, very heavily over here. So we are trusted partners for over 1 million businesses. And like I mentioned, the product portfolio is briefly mentioned below: connectivity, cloud, Airtel Secure, IoT, data centers, mobile, conferencing, cloud communication. These are some of the services. I tried to wrap it up very quickly. We will be happy to engage with you at your offices. If any one of you has requirement, you can visit our booth. I will have a team of my account managers visit you and have a detailed discussion on any of the solution which you feel will be relevant for your business so that you can scale up. That's about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for Anurag. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on this note, I'm going to be inviting one of our next speakers whom I'd request now to please join us, Shri Joyjit Gupta, who's a Senior VP and Regional Business Head, Branch Banking, Kotak Mahindra Bank. Let's give him a huge, huge round of applause as we invite him on the topic, SME Nation Builders and Kotak Bank Partnership.
So, hearty good afternoon to all of you. I know that I am today standing in between you and the lunch and probably you and CM. So, it's a very tough place for me to be in at this point of time. So, I was a very keen observer sitting over there and looking at everyone and watching at all of you. First of all, I should address this audience as nation builders. How many of you agree with me that I am talking to an entire audience of nation builders? Yes. So I believe, just to add to some of the data what Vivek was giving it to you, the people sitting in this room, the SMEs today, employ 40% of India's total employment. We are talking about 45% of manufacturing output and 40% of export. And that is the reason today you are the most important person, okay, for everybody in the economy. And let me extend on behalf of entire Kotak Group to all of you to stand by every single of your employees during the most difficult time of COVID. I know some of you have really taken a bond to pay the salaries during those difficult times. So I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for all of this. So today, once we look at, okay, I think from Kotak's side, I don't want to go into a very large and boring presentations. Thankfully, it's a Saturday, so I am not in my black suit, okay, and thankfully, I am addressing you the way I want to. So I will try to cover 2-3 important things what we want to address to an SME. If we look at SME, there are 2-3 specific phases that we look at. First, we look at once he starts his financing needs. I think that is one of the most important needs today, and thanks to Vivek and SIDBI, I think as a government, we are taking care of all of you in the most advanced way possible today. So we also a partner to that growth to all of you. So as a bank, as a conglomerate today, probably we bring across every possible financing solutions to you. I don't know how many of you over here supply to the large corporate. And today, a lot of you are not having a channel finance facility and having a normal CC or a overdraft facility instead of having a channel finance. And you are struggling to ramp up your business because obviously there is a limit to the collateral that you can provide. So I think today, if you are supplying or if any one of the large corporate as your customer, you should first look up to your bank and tell them, look, I need a vendor finance or a channel finance. So this is a financing facility which you can get without any collateral, and it can be 100% of the business that you are doing with that corporate. Please explore these things with your banker. We have an entire channel over here. I have some of my senior colleagues present with me. I have Aditya over here who takes care of working capital finance for Mumbai. He will help you to understand the same in detail. Today, if you all ask me, I think this is something which you should know. Today, right from leveraging your gold loan, and thanks to SBI, I think I saw somewhere today SBI also is talking to you. I think they were the pioneer to start a gold loan at 7%. And they actually challenged every other bank to bring down their gold loan lending rate. Today, you can get crores of financing through even leveraging the gold that is lying in your locker. So right from a gold loan to a normal working capital financings, to a channel financings, okay, and to an export finance. I don't know how many of you leverage your export finance properly. How many of you look at export packing credit properly? Because today, if you look at, and again I would like to thank the government for this initiative, if you use your export packing credit effectively, it means government will give you around 50 basis points from their pocket to you. So that means effectively, instead of paying interest, you will get interest. If you are an exporter and you are using your export packing credit effectively, you will get money in your pocket. How? You want to know, please speak to my colleagues. We are there. They will help you to understand how it can happen for you. The next most important part for all of you is to understand that as a bank, okay, as you know, Mr. Uday Kotak started this company from one small room. So he understands this business probably better than most of the people today in the entire banking and finance industry. So he understands how we are able to take this business to the next level. So once we enter with some of the SMEs with a high collateral limit, as and when the relationship grows, today in my portfolio in Mumbai, I can tell you, I have got customers who are having not even 20% collateral limit, and we are standing with them. We are one of those large bankers who did not pull off the towel even during the COVID period. I think when it is shining, you will have everybody standing by your side. How do you know who as a bank is your partner? When the going gets difficult, when the tough times comes, you come to know whether we actually respected every single sanction that we gave in the month of March, even after in the April, your COVID hit. We stood by all our partners and ensured that we support them. And that is the reason today we have the lowest NPA in the market, because we helped people tide over during the most difficult COVID period of times. So if you ask me, I think you should come to Kotak because of two reasons. One, in Kotak, we don't have a hierarchy. You want to meet Mr. Uday Kotak, he is free to meet all of you. You want to meet Mr. Virat Diwanji, who is the consumer bank head now, you can meet him over a cup of tea any point of time. I think accessibility of people is the recipe for Kotak. You all will be able to meet the senior most people without any difficulty. And every customer for us today is same. With 811, we declared to the entire country that every customer is equally important for all of us. And we know how to respect and treat every customer of ours. If we go back, and I just try to put across a few things for all of you, which we have recently done. I think we are one of the first bank to be completely integrated with the new platform, okay, your income tax platform of Government of India. We are live on custom duty payments. And with the launch of FIN today, what we have done, we have ensured what Anurag was trying to tell you, that we build the connectivity to all of you. So Anurag will provide you the connections. I will ensure that you are able to do transactions anywhere on the globe. So irrespective of the fact, wherever you are traveling across the globe, if you have your mobile phone with you, you can actually do all your export-import transactions sitting anywhere across the globe. When I was traveling, one of the best place to dive, okay, in Cairns, Great Barrier Reef. I found a guy sitting over there and doing a trade transactions. Okay, and that was a trigger when I came to Kotak. I insisted that this is something which we all should explore, because that's the way the things has changed today. So today, not only you do your transactions, okay, through this, you also do your entire compliance. So all compliance submissions can happen online for you. So today, physically, not even a single document should move among bank and you in terms of doing all your Forex transactions. So this is one thing that we have brought across to all of you. If you ask me, so one, I have covered your requirement of finances. So right from a gold loan to a working capital finance to a project loan, everything we are looking at, right from a channel financing to a vendor financing, everything we are looking at. The next thing I will talk about banking. In terms of banking, I think as very, very aptly said by Vivek, that we are looking at a phygital architecture. I can tell you today we will never run and match up SBI's number of branches. That is not our strategy at all. We will open branches in a risk-calibrated way, but we will ensure that we support it equally with our digital architecture. And we will be physically available to each one of you to ensure that we are providing all our banking services to all of you. I think today we are able to provide you a seamless banking experience. I don't know how many of you today maintain balances in your current account more than 10 lakh rupees. Kotak is the only bank which pays you interest in your current account. I repeat, Kotak is the only bank which pays interest in your current account. If you want to know how, please talk to my colleagues, they will explain you in detail. It means today, if you are maintaining a crore in your current account, you are losing 6 lakhs rupees. So that is how. So I am a Baniya. So I understand the value of rupees very well. My promoter is a Baniya. He understands the value of the rupees very well. So all of us ensure that we make your every rupee count. So every rupee that you keep with me in your current account, it earns interest for you. So that's the unique propositions which we bring in, which we call money multiplier for all of you. Third, I will go, so once I have covered your funding requirement, I have spoken to you about your banking. The third portions which I want to cover to you is how do you make money. I think we are one of the banking conglomerates who also knows how to make money for you. So I have Kotak Securities with me to make money for you, and then I have got a Kotak Wealth propositions. As you know today, Kotak Wealth stands as the #1 wealth management firm, which we now call Kotak Private Banking. So this is the #1 arm today in India, which manages 50% of Forbes' top 100 richest customers in India. So today, if any one of you want to ensure that whatever money that you have made, okay, that money, how you are able to protect, I think, and grow, you come to us, we will be the best one to help you to do that. Lastly, I want to cover a small bit of it. My colleague from SBI General Insurance have already told all about general insurance. So he has done my job. So whatever SBI is doing, I am doing. So I do not want to tell anything more, and probably I will be able to do it faster, okay, for all of you, okay? So coming back to my last point, I don't know, and this is very important. This is very, very important. I want to need 30 seconds of your undivided attention. I don't know how many of you know Married Women Property Act, MWP. How many of you know it? Can you please raise the hand? That is my problem. So today, if as a businessman, okay, I have a lot of businessmen in my family. So I think as a businessman, what is the risk that we carry? I think one of my able colleagues explained you about credit risk and all the things. So nice presentation, ma'am. Highly appreciate. Okay, so I think all of you, she explained you very well about the credit risk. So what is the biggest risk for a businessman? It is a business risk. What do we mean by business risk? That whatever am I doing, there are two risks involved. One, if my business fails. Second, as a promoter, if I dies, what happens to my business? So I think protecting these two risks is extremely, extremely important for all of us. How do we protect these two? One, I do a MWPA, which is Married Women Property Act. Supreme Court verdict says that any investment that you do under Married Women Property Act can't be touched in the court of law, can't be attached in the court of law. So tomorrow, God forbid, something happens, there is a legal claim on you, the entire investment that you have done under MWPA will go to your family, nobody can touch it. So if you ask me, everyone sitting in this room who runs a business should do a MWPA. And this is done by all insurers. Okay, again, I am telling you, obviously Kotak is one of the prime one to do it for all of you. The next one, I think, is the Keyman Insurance. How many of you know over here about Keyman Insurance? Again, a very few people. I think it is extremely important for all of you to ensure that you do a Keyman Insurance because you are the person who is running the business. You are the person who have done the networking. Like in the entire SME Chamber of Commerce, I know Mr. Salunke only, okay? So he is the key person. Similarly, in every business, you are the key person who is running the business. Okay, what about the business continuity in your absence? Have you planned it out? And that is the reason why a Keyman Insurance is extremely important for all of you. So do remember to go back and consult your banker. We will be more than happy to help you for that. But even if you go and consult it with your existing banker and ask them a question, why you haven't come and explained me all these things if you are my banking partner? So a job of a banking partner is to stand by its customer towards the total 360 degree. This is what I learned from Mr. Sandeep Bakshi of ICICI Bank, that when you look at customer from a 360 degree perspective. And you offer everything which is good for customer, good for bank. There is no free lunch in the world, so I will not offer anything free for you. But I will offer something which will make value for you. I will offer something which will ensure it helps your businesses to grow. So good for customer, good for bank is the motto for all of us. Thanks a lot for your time. Highly appreciate. Have a pleasant afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's very interesting. जैसे कि आपने पूछा था, you have asked so many participants about some information. So that means how the knowledge and information is required for SME sector. So let us give a big hand to all the speakers because this is the most important thing that we have to be updated with knowledge. We have 6 speakers. आपको lunch लेना है या भाषण सुनना है बोलिए. चलिए ठीक है. Let us have a questions. Question round. Anyone is there? Yes, please.
Sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Harshvardhan Parikh. I am an entrepreneur and a trade advisor and analyst. My question is to the MSME specialist. If you see the circle of the GDP of India, 55% comes from the services, 17 to 20% in the manufacturing sector, rest agriculture. Now, when you say services, I want to talk to the, I want to hear some advice from the MSME specialists that why trading communities or marketing people are avoided into the definition of the services sector. It's only coming down to the assembly. I contacted a few people. They say that as a trader or a marketeer, though you have enough stock in crores and you do business in crores, but you are not getting all the advantages that the others get. And you cannot register yourself except for the place that the madam said that we will be getting financial aid or something of services. So if you take India as a whole, sir, do you have any analysis what trading community is doing in terms of volume? It is fantastic. Why they are not included in the MSME?
Okay. Samir, you are the specialist for SMEs.
Well, I don't know about that, but there are many specialists sitting there. But quickly, I think we can have a detailed conversation later. But in summary, traders are being considered in terms of the economic value-added activities as far as the measures taken by the different entities. I myself am in discussion with some of the ministry folks to be able to look at this particular definition. But we can take that in detail little there. But the whole idea is that in India, it's very important to consider that the scalability is very important even for the trading community. And when you think about 60 services, which is 61% actually, 61%, and then compare that with the traders, basically, there is a movement of traders to add more value, just like manufacturers. And there is also a convergence that is taking place between trading community and manufacturing community. I'll explain to you detail in later, but the discussion is on in terms of looking at whether the same benefits can be given.
Okay, thank you. Vivek ji, एक मेरा question ऐसा है कि so many entrepreneurs when they approach any bank, especially branch, for a collateral fee loan, but we observe that branch manager never say कि collateral fee loan easily आपको मिल सकता है. ऐसा कारण क्या है? Even the 2 crore loan is approved by the government and under the CGCME scheme. So why is this happening? उनका देना नहीं है या entrepreneur को encourage नहीं करना है कि loan लेने के लिए?
कई कारण होते हैं। एक कारण ये भी होता है कि बैंक मैनेजर को लगता है कि बिज़नेस वायबल नहीं है। हमेशा बैंक मैनेजर या बैंक को कटघरे में खड़ा कर देना ठीक नहीं होता है। कई बार वो लोग भी ठीक होते हैं, कई बार ये भी अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ हुई हैं। मैंने भी लोन मना किए हैं और मैंने लोन मना करने के बाद मेरी टीम ने रियलाइज़ किया कि यू हैव डन द फैमिली अ फेवर बाय नॉट अलाउिंग देम टू एक्सपैंड because they were not capable of that expansion. Having said that, हर एक बैंक की एक अपनी grievance hierarchy होती है और I mean I have been the chief grievance officer of SIDBI for a long time and I realized that कि government grievance redressal पे कितना ज़्यादा emphasis दे रही है. So अगर आपको लगता है कि अगर आपको grievance है, approach that hierarchy has started acting in last 2-3 years. और अगर आप बैंक मैनेजर वायबिलिटी की बात कर रहा है तो बेटर है कि आप अपना आइडिया बेहतर करें, आप अपना प्रोजेक्ट छोटा करें, बड़ा करें, उस हिसाब से.
बट उस दायरे में अगर बैठती है मेरी प्रपोजल तो भी दिया नहीं जाता, इसके कारण क्या है? उसके लिए सिडबी उनसे क्वेश्चन पूछती है.
क्रेडिट डिसीजन लाइज विद द बैंकर. तो अगर आप अगर समझ लें 1 लाख बैंक ब्रांचेज है और हर ब्रांच में एक केस भी डिनाई होता है महीने भर पे, तो हमारे जो पेंडेंसी ऑफ केसेस हमारे सामने हो जाएगी सुप्रीम कोर्ट या हाई कोर्ट या सारे डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट मिला के हो जाएगी एंड वी डोंट हैव द एक्सपर्टाइज. बट अगेन आई वुड से कि ब्रांच मैनेजर एंड नहीं है. ब्रांच मैनेजर के ऊपर क्लस्टर हेड होता है या रीजनल मैनेजर. प्राइवेट बैंक्स में क्लस्टर हेड होते हैं, रीजनल मैनेजर, उसके ऊपर जोनल मैनेजर. हायरार्की होती है और MSME के समाधान दिवस भी होते हैं. तो वहाँ पे अगर इफ़ यू आर रियली पैशनेट तब आपको बैंक की जो हायरार्की है वो ट्रिगर करनी है. और बैंक की हायरार्की में या किसी भी हायरार्की में आज की तारीख में एज वी कॉल एज की सुनवाई होती है. सो it's a hard road for someone, but those who are willing to take that road, I think success will be waiting at the end of it.
Okay, thank you. Any question? Yes, please. Okay.
Hello.
Ladies first.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am from the education field. So, मेरा ये है, I am doing research in Industry 4.0 technologies adoption in MSMEs. So there is a disconnect
Speak
between
loudly.
There is a disconnect between the youth and the MSMEs. अगर आप कॉलेज स्टूडेंट को जाते हैं तो वो लोग ज़्यादातर बड़े सेक्टर्स में इंटर्नशिप करना चाहते हैं, बट नो वन नोज एनीथिंग अबाउट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग और SMEs का. सो आई रिक्वेस्ट द पॉलिसी मेकर्स टू क्रिएट एन इकोसिस्टम among the institutes and the industry or small industries such that the जो भी gap है it can be filled up. Basically the youth are getting disconnected and there is a lot of discontent between them also.
Okay, thank you. We have taken note. Yes. Anyone? Next. You want to address? Yeah. Yes, yes, it's on.
Hello. So, ma'am, just to answer your questions, I will just try to give you a data at a Mumbai level. So, every month in Mumbai today, we are hiring approximately 40 to 50 people, okay, who are actually joining us from MSME. They are currently working with MSME, and from there they are coming. So every campuses where we are going and we are recruiting people, if there are certain people who are not selected, okay, in the initial stage, we are asking them to go and join MSMEs, work there, and then come to the corporate, okay, and work with the corporate. So if you see today, I think these transitions will become increasingly smooth for the entire youth. And as I told you that today they are 40% employment generator. As and when they keep on generating employment, they will also create a trained manpower. I think Vivek was telling you how the entire skill development is working now. So we are working very closely with SIDBI and all government your bodies to ensure that we are able to create the required manpower. In Mumbai, as I talk to you, I have got a requirement of 100 people. Okay, and we are still requiring more and more people at our organization level. So currently we are running short of skilled manpower requirement. So that is the practical situations at a corporate level. So MSMEs can play a very, very huge role in terms of covering that gap. Thank you.
Okay. Last two questions. Last one, yes.
Good afternoon to you. We are from the textile segment. I have a question for the banking team. Could you give us some information about interest subvention? What is the procedures? I mean, I've tried to check with our bankers and all. Nobody was able to give us some information, 3%, 4%, and how much of interest subvention are we entitled for? And what is the procedure to get that? Thank you.
So I think, first of all, the interest subvention application format is extremely simple. I think you should, and these, just to let you know, this happens your 2 times during the year, okay? So every half yearly, these subventions happens. There is a formal applications which you have to make with your respective banker, along with your Udyog Aadhaar, okay, and along with the details of the loan that you are availing. Now these subventions varies depending on the type of funding that you have availed and the type of businesses that you are into. If you are an exporter only, if you are a manufacturer come exporter, okay, or you are a trader. Depending on the type of categories of business that you have, it varies from 1% to 5%. And this comes under basic services now, just for your information. So any bank, if he is not providing you this service, you can definitely go for the grievance redressal, which Vivek is mentioning. And my request to all of you, I think grievance redressal today, we have make it very, very accessible. I think if you visit any Kotak Mahindra bank in Mumbai, you will find even my numbers available over there, along with the entire hierarchy of 4 other people. So I think we have ensured that we are able to make grievance redressals very, very easy for all of you. So please follow that. Every bank will ensure that you get this subvention depending on the type of category you fall into. Thank you.
Thank you. Last question.
Sir, any funding for new invention in our country? This is my one question. And second question is, what is the NPA ratio of MSME and big industries?
You want to ask Vijay Malla especially? Please answer. It's on.
So
आपका इन्वेंशन किस सेक्टर में है या किस इंडस्ट्री में है?
The whole world is marching around innovations, and in India, we as a MSME, what we are doing, we are just copy pasting the Chinese or other products.
My
And
question
the
was that
proportion
is
of
it a-
innovation in every field. Just now Gadkari was spoken that in USA,
Okay, now I'll
the
interrupt
1
you.
acre.
I understand your question. Ek minute. Recently, I met your chairman, SIDBI chairman, and I have suggested, let me complete. I have suggested that being an institutional bank, I want that, SIDBI should take initiative to create FAQ related all financial sector, financial system, financial procedure, formalities, so that, I know all the banks are, even Kotak Mahindra Bank is having their information on that. And most important, our SME entrepreneurs are not understanding the information is available and they are not accessing. आज के conference में आपने बस अपने question रखे, issue रख दिया. Tomorrow if I say send your details, nobody will send the next conference. So I suggest all this type of questions. See, chamber is there for support to all your issues and grievances. You should write to us. Regularly you should write to us about your issues, your problem. So why we invite all these stalwarts, not only just give information, not only just to give a lecture, they are ready to resolve your issues. Yes, sir.
So, अगर आप डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया की वेबसाइट चेक करेंगे, उनके पास इनोवेशन फाइनेंस करने के लिए कई स्कीम्स हैं. देयर इज़ आल्सो अ टाइफैक, टेक्नोलॉजी इनोवेशन फॉरकास्टिंग एंड असेसमेंट काउंसिल, उनके पास भी स्कीम है. तो आज की तारीख में आपको इधर उधर यूएस वगैरह का एग्जाम्पल देखने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. इंडिया इज़ द सुपर पावर. सो इंडिया में बहुत स्कीम्स हैं. वंस यू हैव reached a pre-commercial stage, then there are n number of private equity fund, n number of angel investors, n number of what you call as venture funds, which would be, which would take your invention or idea to a commercial stage. Insofar as MSME versus large, this thing is questioned, I'll be very clear, this is beyond the scope of this conference. So I would request Mr. Salunke to address, but all of us know that MSMEs, even if they face difficulty, in my career also I have seen, they repay your loan. Large industries I don't have much idea of handling because SIDBI's name starts from small, so that I cannot comment.
Okay. Even whenever I meet senior executive of the bank, say MD chairman, I suggest them to allocate 20 to 25% standing order, standing instructions to the department. Suppose I am taking loan for a working capital or any other loan, say like 1 crore rupees. The bank should allocate 20% loan for buying advanced machines, equipments. For that purpose, I don't want to repeat to submit a proposal. So ये standing भी होना जरूरी है. इसके लिए तो बहुत I think I'm pursuing with your bank also, SBI and Bank of Baroda.
Also, one more point I would like to make on innovation. I think for your information, there are over 60 different schemes on innovation, some by government, some by private sector, which are already running in the country. The problem is the arbitrage, like you mentioned. At one point, at one place, it's not really available for all of you. We as Wadhwani Foundation do a lot of work in innovation because we also support startups. We're working with Atal Innovation Mission. There are so many such things which are happening, which are not only the sort of the region or the domain of the big corporates, but it's reaching the MSMEs. MSMEs and the startups are actually looking at uniting hands to be able to boost the innovation in terms of the incubating them and scaling them up over a period of time. So the beginning is made. Obviously, it's very small compared to what is needed, but I think the beginning is made. So I think it's just about having in one place that information available, you will be able to get to know some of these schemes.
Friends, let me announce one thing. We have SME Technology Development Council, where we are supporting SMEs to develop their technology for innovation, invention, and other value addition for the, productivity, quality improvement, and, industrial automation, technology related, whatever. And for that purpose, I have appointed Avinash Vellad as a CEO, honorary CEO of that council, to take up the matter, take up the issues, understand the requirement in SME sector. So we should give a big hand and we should welcome him for that. So I would like to present flowers on behalf of our organization. Please come up. So he has a vast experience in IT and ICT sector.
Let's give them a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
So next time you will have many questions for the IT technology. We can definitely support you. Or rather, we are planning now next event in Pune, that is India SME Technology Summit. So all of you can join there. So I think let us close now.